Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Wrightway J with Wrightway J Speaks. Back with a new video. So, on this video, first and foremost, I want to give condolences to Young Dolph and his family. This was a very sad, tragic loss. Dolph was he was a real stand-up guy. You know, from what I've seen and what I know about Dolph, he was a very stand-up guy, you know, very about his business, about his family. You know, I respect it. You know, and I'm speaking, you know, purely as a fan. Like, I was and am a Young Dolph fan, you know. And I really want to specifically touch on just like the shooter specifically. The shooter, like, you shot someone who was doing good in the community. You know what that also reminds me of? Rest in power, Nipsey Hussle. So going back to Dolph, this man was doing good, and the shooter said, you know what? I have to get rid of him. I have to eliminate him. You know, and Booster said it best, man. Most rappers die in their own city. I got to give Booster credit, man. Most rappers die in their home city, man. Just looking at the two that I just gave you. And we can go down the list. You know. But I'm going back to the shooter. You, sir, even if I'm gonna just keep it how I'm keeping it. All right, you, sir, I have to ask you a question. What made you believe that killing this man who's doing good and looks like you? I hope you see where I'm going with this. This man looks like you and is doing good in the community, and instead of learning from him, you want to murder him. Take him away from his wife, his children, his friends, his family, his loved ones, his fans. Because you saw Dolph as your enemy. And my question to you now, as a black man, since I ain't gonna say since, because it's been like that since the beginning. You've always had like sellouts in the community that have just undermined any black person who was ever trying to do good. They've always been another black person to undermine them, and it all goes back to white supremacy, white genetic survival. And when I say that, I mean is that white people, like, in the past, and let me get specific when I say this. The descendants of Europe have always used the Europeans and the descendants of Europe and the descendants of Europeans have always used Africans and the descendants of Africans. Europeans have used them to do what Europeans wanted the Africans to do in order to benefit the Europeans. In short, Europeans would always use Africans as tools to get what they want. Europeans always found a way to basically tap into certain Negroes who were just hungry enough, who was just willing enough to sell out their own in order to get a bone. Because that's really all they get is just a freaking bone. And then if you think about, again, with the shooting of Dolph, like, now the city of Memphis is on fire because this person, this shooter, believed that this black man who was doing good in the community was his enemy and he must be eliminated. And you know what that does? That pushes white genetic survival even further. You do realize that by taking away that symbol of a man who was doing good in the community, a man who meant something to people, who had a wife, who had kids, who had a family, he meant something. You saw that man as your enemy instead of learning from him. And for that, you're no better than a white supremacist. Same thing goes for Nipsey Hussle's killer. He's no better than a white supremacist. At this point, I personally feel like any black person who kills another black person just out of just for hatred because they're doing better in life, you're a black white supremacist. In my honest opinion. And I really don't care if you like it or not. It is what it is. Because there was no point in killing Dolph. What does this solve? This only brings hurt and trauma and pain to an unlimited amount of people. But again, when you have Negroes who believe what Europeans have taught them to believe about Negroes, then it's easier to understand why this shooter would feel that in his mind, while loading up that gun, getting into that car, following Dolph, hopping out, and right before pulling that trigger, he was fine with every single move he was making. So what does that say? You're a black white supremacist. You're a black white supremacist. So accept it. And that's for any black person at this point. Male, female, it don't matter. If you just want to tear black people down just cause, you're just a black white supremacist in my opinion. So just go ahead and step on the side of the white supremacist, and that way we know who you are, and it's cool. If that's how you feel, that's cool. Just let it be known so we know what to do. You understand? Now, we got to get out of that mentality, but I'm gonna say it like this: we got to get out of that mentality. A lot of us are, but all of us are not. All of us are not going to get out of that mentality. All of us are not going to be able to see the light. Me personally, I've gotten to the point where I can understand that. I can understand that maybe only like 10% of Negroes will really understand what's really going on. You know, we're like 5, maybe 3. I don't know, maybe 5, 6. It's a small number. So I'm cool. I'm cool with it because I look at it like other groups, like in this country, they may not be strong in numbers, but they're strong in unity. You get what I'm saying? And that unity brings them power. We think power is in numbers, which to a degree it is, but it's really power in unity. Now, I'm not gonna dive too deep into that because that'll go somewhere else. Now there's another subject that I want to touch on. DaBaby. All right, DaBaby and danileigh. Whew. All right, so when it comes to DaBaby and danileigh, I'm gonna say it like this. I understand why DaBaby recorded the situation, so it can be shown like, yo, I wasn't trying to harm her. I was just trying to get off my property. She didn't want to leave. That's why I called the cops. All right, got you. You trying to protect yourself, protect your assets. Hey, I respect it. I get it. But at the same time, I'm like, bruh, I know she pretty and everything, but this chick is fool, bruh. And you should have known, like, all right, I can't skeet up in this one. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really urging men, please be more mindful with your penis, please. Like, please be more mindful with your semen. Like, just understand, you can't just be like shooting up every girl's club, bruh. It don't work like that. It don't work like that. I mean, because that's just creating like more pain. I mean, sure, you can be a great father to the child, but that mother is still in pain. And that's the part that doesn't get considered. That like the woman is still in pain. So if you had never like skeeted up in her, it wouldn't have been that hard of a breakup. That's one. Two, when DaBaby was like, this is my side piece, she's only my side piece, that's all she's ever been was my side piece, I was like, ooh, man, that's a good punch. At that point, I'm looking at Danny, I'm like, yo, you never saw any signs? I'm sure, because I'm like, people know, like, DaBaby had multiple kids with different women. He had different kids with different women. This is a thing. There's no denying that. So I'm looking at Danny, I'm like, there was no discernment here. You never, like, thought to yourself, like, okay, this guy has a bunch of kids with a bunch of women. Do I really want to be just another one on the list? And for her to be like, to basically dive into it and just ride it all the way out. When she tried to ride it all the way out and she got the short end of the stick, I'll be honest with you, not a lot of sympathy felt. I mean, if anything, I feel sympathy for the kid, like the actual child that they have. But outside of them as individually, I don't feel sympathy for either one of them. Because DaBaby should have known, like, all right, this chick is gonna be on some wild, on some cuckoo stuff. Let me keep her at bay. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I get. Now there's a power dynamic to it as well. When DaBaby said it how he said it and did it how he did it, even though personally I don't agree with like putting it on camera, by him saying like, yo, you got to get up out of here, he basically was flexing his power like, yo, I run this here. Like you just kick it here. I run this here. So you getting out of line and you got to go. Point blank. Ain't no talking. Just Just pack your stuff up and you gotta go. Now, if it was just her, just the chick, just danileigh alone, and he like, yo, you gotta get out here, it's 3 a.m, but you gotta go. I'm like, all right, cool. But if there's a child involved, even though she's in my house, I still would have been like, yo, you gotta go. But I would have been like, you gotta go in, but you stay in the morning, but you gotta go. This is me. You stay in the morning till the morning, but in the morning you gotta go. At least to the daytime where you can move better. There's more things open. You can get a hotel or something like that. I mean, you can get a hotel at night, but you know what I mean. It's just it to me. But I guess I have somewhat of a heart, so that's me. With danileigh, again, you should have known. You know who this guy was. You knew what he was about. You dive into it anyway. Don't feel no sympathy for you. dababy, you knew this chick was full. You could tell this chick was full. You can just see how she was just super clingy to you, like super clingy, like I'm looking at her. I be looking at pictures of them together. I'm like, this chick is super clingy. He's looking like, yo, I really don't care about this chick. She's just here. I could see it. You know what I'm saying? So, dababy, you should have definitely used protection. So, in closing, ladies, if a man shows you who he is, believe him. Men, always use a condom because you never want to shoot up the wrong girl's club. You get me? All right. So that's that on that. This is Wrightway J. Wrightway J Speaks. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I will catch y'all on the next one. Peace.